All around New Zealand, when Coronation Street screens, over 500,000 people tune in. For some fans, it's an entertaining show. For others, something of a religion. And for some, it's almost a national sport.
I tend to equate it to a game of rugby, which to me contains all the elements of drama that Coronation Street does, but with one saving factor, the final whistle. And I think that's the basic argument against Coronation Street. Lots of blokes say to me, oh, I watched 5 minutes of it the other night, but it just goes on and on. Well, thank God it does.
And after decades of exposure, a certain amount of knowledge becomes second nature.
And now let's meet contestant number 2 with a very popular subject. Your subject, which is going to be dear to TV viewers all over the country, Coronation Street, the first 25 years. I myself had the pleasure of being photographed in front of the Rovers' return. 2 minutes on that ever-popular series, starting from now.
While not every fan would claim to have encyclopedic knowledge of the ins and outs of Weatherfield, certainly alarm bells will ring if there's a chance they might not be able to tune in for their fix. Hamilton fireman Paul Single claims never to have missed an episode in 20 years.
That's good.
Thus, his VCR was put to good use when Paul made a pilgrimage to the street. There, he got to make a call from the phone box, but he was dead keen to get inside that pub.
I come out of the phone booth and I saw a builder coming out of a building. And I said, well, I'll explain to him that I've come all the way from New Zealand. And he said, well, so what? To see the real Rovers. I said, well, could you sneak me in to show me the Rovers? And he said, look, mate, I'd lose my job. And I said, look, come on. Come all the way from New Zealand. You know, New Zealand's a long way away. And I really want to get in behind the Rovers to get a shot to bring home to show this guy's at work, because I told him I was a firefighter. So he said, all right, if you stop talking, I'll take you in there. So in we go. So we go inside into the studios, and honestly, the set was just, well, was really good. I was really pleased to see it. And it's exactly what I see on TV. And so I rushed behind the bar. So he took a couple of photos of me, pulling the pints. Then he said, right, let's get out of here. So out we went. Everybody has their own thing that they like in life, and I guess I'm sort of really probably hooked on watching Coronation Street.
Now, some of those hooked on Coronation Street are also hooked up to the net, and they gather together in the Coronation Street chat rooms and they swap information, and they organise get-togethers, things called pings. Now, they're called pings, P-I-N-G-S, because once upon a time somebody sent out a notice for a Coro Street Pint Fest, and there was a typo, so it came out Ping Fest. And because that's also the sound that a computer makes when you receive a message, the name stuck. And a ping is precisely what's going on in this lower hut house.
Yahoo! That's how we celebrate our Coronation Street Pings in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This is Edith, the book lady, wishing you all a great time at your ping there in New Zealand.
The enormous variety of people that you meet via this channel never ceases to amaze me. And of course, the sort of people you meet tends to derive from the plot lines that are currently running. At the moment, we're getting a lot of young people in because of the Sarah Lou storyline. And we had a lot of young girls come in when Nick Platt was such a hunk. And a lot of transsexuals joined our group after the character Hayley arrived, and so on.
With the way we organised the ping, we've been able to organise so that we had the webcam up, and we've had people in Australia and Canada and the UK all watching us have our party and have our ping and questions, and we had the message from Julie as well, who plays Hayley, which was really a surprise and lovely.
People of New Zealand, pingers of New Zealand, it's Julie here, otherwise known as Hayley.
For me, the internet's changed my life as a Coronation Street fan, because I'm able to actually go in. If I want to know of a storyline that's happening in England, I can go into the internet, I can check it up. It's like being able to go behind the scenes. Sometimes when I go down to Janelle's place, if her husband's not home or he's not on his computer, then Janelle will hop on her computer and go into the chat room, and I'll hop on her husband's computer, which is through the other side of the wall, and go into the chat room, and we'll sit there and we'll be busy laughing at each other through the wall because of what they're actually saying on the chat room, or we'll be holding totally separate conversation and discussing all sorts of things while we're actually talking to other people on the chat room as well.
I've got 250 hours a month, and I have come close a couple of times. Okay, I'm an edit.
like all addictions, they go, for me, they're cyclic. The addictions are cyclic. So be it sort of smoking cigarettes or, you know, whatever, battling some sort of demon. Well, one of my demons is Coronation Street. So I'm on a cycle of Coronation Street at the moment. Come back in 2 years' time, I may not be watching it.
He'll be on his motorcycle.
Coro's on, and that's it. But any friends, you know, people that know me just wouldn't even dream of ringing anyway when Coronation Street's on.
I don't think we ever sit down and discuss it, but if we're going to do something together on a Thursday night or a Monday night, turns out we do it after 8:30.
I can't miss more than 2 in a row. I can't.
I've got to be seated, the phone comes off the hook, my friends know it's no use ringing me at all, and it goes on when the credits roll at the end.
People expect me to be late anyway, but Coronation Street has often been the reason. My secret's out.
You know, I always try and not do shows on the nights Coronation Street's on. Because I think, one, I'm missing out, and two, it's sort of cutting down my audience, you know. I mean, I don't know whether my audience watch Coronation Street, but I do. And so I think, yeah. But then again, weeks go by sometimes and you don't watch it, and you think, well, life does go on without it.
But then you watch it and you realise it doesn't. Life doesn't go on without Coronation Street.
For some, the arrival of the street meant a whole change of routine.
Coronation Street was the main topic of conversation at the office I worked at. And looking, it sounded so marvellous, and I didn't have a TV set, so I went out and bought one. And after the first episode, I was just hooked. Everyone wanted to be like Elsie Tanner, you know. Oh, she had beautiful auburn hair, and she was never short of a fellow to buy her a drink at the Rogue's Return. And, oh, I always wanted to be like Emily Nugent. But looking back, I think I was more like Scatterbrain Mavis.
Well, I've always wanted to be stormy and passionate and tempestuous, but you can't be. It's not when you're born with a tidy mind.
Oh, mean, moody and magnificent.
Magnificent is one way to describe the passion of Christchurch enthusiast Daniel Salisbury. He's a devoted viewer and an avid collector of Coronation Street magazine covers. At last count, he had over 800.
I find magazines all over the place. I go to church fairs here, I go to book fairs, I go to second-hand shops religiously, I scan the buy, sell and exchange and the trade and exchange, and I constantly look like that. I also obviously go around to the newsagents Current to get them. Well, when I first started watching it, my favourite character was Minnie Caldwell. I just loved the way she talked, and she just looked such a sweet old thing, and she goes, oh, Ina, oh dear. And then during the 80s, I had a crush on Sharon Gaskell. I thought she was fabulous. She had a very sexy, husky voice, and she had brown hair, and she was just great. One of Coronation Street's superb characters is Raquel as well, played by the brilliant actress Sarah Lancashire. So I like all of the covers with her on, and her fantastic story with her, Des and Curly. I don't think I've missed an episode for years and years and years. I don't think I'd be in a very good mood if I did. If I go out or anything, then I make sure I video it. And if it's a particularly important episode that I'm going to miss, I actually make sure I video it myself, and I get my mum to video it as well in case something goes wrong.
I sacrificed Coronation Street to go on a date, and by the end of the night I was kicking myself. It wasn't a pleasant experience, and I thought, why did I miss Coronation Street?
So as you can see, Coro devotees are as diverse a bunch as the characters on the street itself, but no roll call would be complete without a contribution from a four-legged fan showing his appreciation.
To win with Coronation Street and one.
So if I get a chance to watch it, I usually will have it to watch it, and because I turn it on and Burke just starts off and he has a good old howl in the bar kind of thing, and just the titles and that sort of thing. Once the titles are finished, he loses interest in the program.